So, Tim, the project. What is Time on My Watch as a project?
So Time on My Watch is a project that's been presented by the Naval Families Federation. It's work that I'm going to be collating, but what we're looking to do is we're looking to get all members to take part in this project to celebrate their own time. So often it's perceived that people are more important one way or the other. Maybe service personnel are more important than families, or families sometimes can be more important than service personnel. But it's actually just saying, look, everyone is important. So we all have our own time that's eligible, and it's nice to celebrate that and celebrate it with a any way you want. So whether it's artistic in the true sense of a picture, or whether it's a poem, whether it's a writing, whether it's just a snapshot of your life, it's a great way to just take part and celebrate your time. It's a selfish time, but it's great to be selfish sometimes.
So you mentioned there, what if someone, or if one considers themselves not to be artistic, can they still take part? How can they take part?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're looking at here is that as the great view is everyone is creative. So by nature, all humans create things, whether we bake a cake or whether we, write a shopping list even. So those are the kind of things it's almost about just celebrating what you are, whichever way you do. So for example, you could have a little notice board with a collection on, or you could have a doodle that you make while you're on the telephone. It may be to your partner, and vice versa. Those kind of bits of information, it's a snippet, it's a snapshot of your time, and how you're sharing it, how you're spending it. It might be nothing to do with the relationships you have between one another, and it may be just, look, I forget about everyone and just get on with my job, whether it's on board or whether it's at home. So it's about taking any aspect of your life, taking a photograph of it, literally a snapshot of something that just is you.
So in terms of what you'd get from doing this, it's on a number of levels, I think, from what you described. So you're contributing to a bigger piece of creation, a bigger bit of art, or so you're making a contribution, but you're also giving yourself time to have a bit of inner reflection on what the service life means to you, and capturing that through whichever way you'd wish to do it. Is that a fair snapshot?
Yeah, so it's great to take part, isn't it? So what we're doing is we're going to bring all the artworks together and collate them. And basically, I'm curating that piece into something that becomes a worthwhile sort of image in its whole, or a project within its whole. That project itself, with all the artwork, there is a cathartic experience. It's about, wellness for yourself as well. And sometimes it's quite good just to voice your opinion. And the great thing is that because it's anonymous, we can say what we want. We can really say what we want. So there is that cathartic experience. It's also about taking part. It's good to take part. It's good to voice your opinion. It's a little bit like an election, isn't it? Have your say. It's a chance to say something, and it may well upset people, but that can be a great thing. It might just be a celebration, which is a great thing too. So there's never anything wrong at all. This is just going to be, everything we receive is going to be super interesting.
Okay, and you made it's anonymous for I guess for obvious reasons as well, but that's also so people can feel free to commit to what they wish to commit to. And the reason for taking part, what difference if I don't take part? Well, it's your chance to express yourself and also be part of this sort of cathartic experience, as you described, which generates an entity, a collection, something that we can look at in the future.
Yeah, and by taking part, whether you contribute or not, but by taking part, you're adding to that conversation, and it's that conversation that we're hopefully going to get, that will be heard, that will be presented to everyone, from, I don't know whether it's going to go to ministerial level or whether it's going to go, we're already at a high level within the Royal Navy anyway, but whether it's going to just be shared with the families as well. It's a great chance to share your experience, let people know. It may be somebody is thinking of joining the Royal Navy, and this inspires them to do that. It may mean that they're looking, and having a greater understanding of how they approach family life. So, and that experience is like sharing that experience is because it may be a joint experience that you're sharing with someone. For example, you know, you're based up in Scotland, but you may be sharing it with some other family member that's down in Portsmouth, and you know, you're miles away physically, but that same emotional sort of tension that you all have, you know, it's coming together, it's bringing everyone together. Yeah, you're not alone in feeling this sometimes, are you? So, yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. And you said, you know, who's going to see this? It's going to be an entity that is either going to be seen at maybe a senior level, or it's going to be seen as a piece of art, or it's going to be for people to reflect on their own experiences from across the whole naval service. As you said, I'm in Scotland. You know, is it a different view for people down in Cornwall or in London who are also in the service? So, and in terms of that, what do you think that what's the aims of what this is going to achieve? You sort of touched on it. It's a snapshot of a reflection from the individuals, but the sum total sums up service life in an entity, or is a collective view of service, family service life, that sort of balance.
So what this is going to bring, so to start with, let's make it fun. You know, why not just do it for a laugh, you know, and that laugh could take 30 seconds. Oh, I just do this. So, you know, the most inspirational things can be made within a few seconds sometimes. It is about sharing again, as I said. So it is about sharing that experience with other people. It's about celebrating who you are, what you are, and celebrating together as well. It is about having your voice heard. And that voice, like we said, is going to be shared with everyone as well. So it is to the benefit to take part. If you don't take part, you wish you had. So, you know, by not taking part sometimes, you know, it's not doing anything. It's you know, do something, say something, even if it, you know, upsets people, say something. You know, how many times do we all walk away going, oh, I wish I'd done that. Oh, I wish I'd done that. So you can never regret not doing something, but you'll never get anywhere. You know, do it and see. That's the big thing.
And the more people to contribute, the wider span of views we get, or we get the full picture, or we get a complete image of what we're trying to achieve here. And I get that. Do you get anything for taking part? I understand there might be the opportunity to get something back for taking part.
Well, I believe there's this added chance of winning a prize, which is fantastic. So, and this isn't made by the best piece of art, or who are we to say what that is. This is about just literally a lottery. So it's just being drawn out of the hat. And I think there's various creative prizes. So you know, nothing else. You've got some chance of winning something. So just have a go. Have a go. Yeah.
And Tim, where can people find out about this?
So I think if you go directly onto the NFF website, there is links there attached, and it will be attached to this video, no doubt, where to directly get involved with it. So, yeah.
Oh, great. Well, thank you very much for sharing that with me. It sounds like a fascinating project, and I hope as many people as possible sign up and contribute.
Good. And just as another question as well, will you be taking part?
Of course I will, Tim.
Have you any idea?
I can stand to win a prize.
And what would you say to people to encourage people to take part? So, you know, I'm interested not just in family members, but, you know, the grass is always greener with those service personnel. You know, they go off and have a great time, you know, on board ship and so on. But how would you encourage other people to voice that opinion as well? Because it's pretty hard graft being away from your family.
It is, and I think the value of this particular project is that some people do find it quite difficult to articulate what service family life means, and this is a very interesting avenue to express yourself, which people wouldn't routinely do in the normal scheme of things. You know, and with the support of NFF and yourself, I think it just gives people an opportunity to think in a slightly different way about what this means to them, and then capture it in a way that might be in some cases easier than describing it in a conversation which we're used to having.
And what we're doing as well, just to add to the conversation there. So at the moment, because of the situation in the world with COVID, we're not sure how we're going to present this, because it may be very difficult to produce a face-to-face. So we may be presenting it through a book or film or other media as well. So what's interesting is this: the more people take part, it may dictate how it's going. So we might end up with a real legacy piece that maybe everyone could have a hold of. So that's what's lovely about it too.
No, absolutely. As I say, it's a fascinating project, and I wish it all the success.
what do you think the project could achieve for you?
Well, I think for me, from within inside the service community, obviously we're always keen to understand what service life has, not only on the people who work in the service, but obviously the wider family who make such a contribution to that service life. So if, as you describe, the product of this project is a view, and it's not just of the view of the Clyde here. It's the feeling. We be able to. It's another way of measuring what service life means, and obviously the impact on the families then has a direct impact on the way that our service personnel operate. So it'll be a fascinating piece of art, but B, also we'll have that element of learning in it to see how people view service life, both positively and potentially negatively as well.
Yeah,
that's what I would look for.
Yeah, I mean, just this is something that may come up within it, but as an artist, as I tell people, as an artist, what my role is to make people think, is to change how people think. So if we can get, that change going on, whether it's a change for how families approach naval life, whether it's a change in how the Royal Navy approach families within their relationship. So, and it could go on there, or just a conversation, just to say, hey, I never knew it was tough for you on the boat. I always assumed you had a great old time. So, these are the things to have a greater understanding. And the more we can understand each other, the more we can really, have a happier life, really, isn't it? I suppose.
Exactly.
That's what it's about.
Or at the other end of the scale, it's someone who's always wanted to have a go at painting or photography or something, and this is a forum where they can actually have a reason to do it. So there's so many levels to this, which makes it so interesting.
Yeah. And there's no such thing as a bad piece. What's really good is just for everyone to have a go.
You haven't seen my contribution yet.
Yeah, and send it in and see. If you've got that legacy there forever, you might think, oh God, it was a disaster. But hey, there's no such thing as disasters.
If nothing else, you can say I was exhibited once.
Exactly.
So Tim, if people do make a contribution in whatever form as you've described, would it be useful to put a bit of context, a backstory around what they're describing or what they're offering to use? Would that be helpful?
Yeah, so sometimes I suppose what we're looking at here is that we can make a piece of artwork, and as people are, are obviously, a little bit nervous about taking part, if they don't feel creative, maybe just having a little story to the piece just adds that another level to it, another value to it, and it might mean that they end up writing a piece as well. So it becomes two pieces. So yeah, adding that story is quite nice. It might just be a very quick explanation. It might be a couple of words, or it might be really quite a big story. We're interested, whichever way it comes through.
Okay.
That's brilliant. Yeah. So Nick, if I asked you about the importance of a project like this for your community, how would you respond to that?
I would, I'd try and play back basically what Jenny said, is that as we sort of suggested before, we are the Navy family community, but within that community, we are diverse not only in location in the UK and across the world, but also in our own experiences, because it depends on what branch of this wide service we're part of. So this project is valuable because in one go we're drawing those bits of diversity and different views into one frame of reference for people to then look into and have a view of the entire service family, which, as I said, is spread far and wide.
That's brilliant.